Welcome to Arcade Audio.
Germs, welcome to Dilettante Ball. I'm Johnny.
I'm Spencer.
Here on Dilettante Ball, we go on Wikipedia.
We click random article.
And we talk about it.
Yeah, we do.
Real quick, just going to mention that Spencer and I and our dear friend Sarah Magnuson have a show tonight and every Tuesday in July and August at the Crowd Theater in Chicago, Illinois at 8 p.m. In 2018. It's called Let Sleeping Dogs Lie. It's a comedy quiz show. And it's also streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, twitch.tv/thecrowdcomedy.
So check it out.
Check it out. It's very funny and very good. And it will never not be so.
Until September. When it is.
Well, no, we're going to get extended for sure. Don't even sweat
I hope
it.
so.
Don't even sweat it, dog.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all. I feel like there was something I was going to tell you. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, not me.
Do you just want an article?
Oh, I would love to get an article just right off the bat.
Yeah, let's just
get a
dunk in.
Let's just Duncan. Duncan's Toy Chest. Home Alone 2. Lost in New York.
This is going to be a challenge to read. Nguye Van Nhung.
Okay. So,
it's a Vietnamese
that was my guess.
person.
Okay.
I think I did okay.
There's literally no way to tell.
Right now, no, there is no way to tell. Major Nguye Van Nhung, 1919 or 1920 to 31 January 1964, was an officer in the Army of the Republic of Vietnam after joining the French Army in 1944 during the colonial era of Vietnam.
Okay, so he's South Vietnamese.
He soon met and became the aide-de-camp and bodyguard for Duong Van Minh and spent the rest of his career in this role as Minh rose up the ranks to become general. Nhung and Minh later transferred to the French-backed Vietnamese National Army during the First Indochina War, and he became an officer. The VNA then became the ARVN.
Arvin.
Is that?
I mean, that's a, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can pronounce it however you want. I'm just. What do I know? I just served in Vietnam. I've read a single book about Vietnam, and they said that.
After the creation of the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnam.
Thank you.
Soft-spoken man, Nhung was a professional military hitman.
Whoa.
Who was reputed to have etched a line on his revolver for each of his killings.
Holy crap. No way.
And ended the lives of 50 people during his career.
Is any of that true?
It's like on Wikipedia, so it must be.
Not a superhero, but like an anti-hero, like a Punisher type guy.
Like a Deadpool.
Like a Deadpool.
Like a Deadpool 2.
Lost in New York.
I know we learned essentially zero about Vietnam and the Vietnam War, and anything about Vietnam in school
or Korea for that matter.
Sure, yeah, totally. Which is so strange because particularly Vietnam seemed like such a pivotal point in like
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have to do with a lot of things. Like it could be number one, it could just be that Florida school systems are bad.
I mean, aside from everything else, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be a lot of different things. Maybe the teachers that were teaching us weren't taught about Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Big Brother trying to keep us, with the wool pulled over our eyes.
Who knows?
I
remember I went to high school in a town that had like a very quaint little downtown area, and there was
Vietnam?
Okay. There was a restaurant that was French and Vietnamese cuisine.
Sure.
And at the time, I was like, "This is so silly."
Right.
Why?
Because you weren't ever taught.
That's like so like it felt like a weird like Mexican fusion, like Mexican Asian fusion
Mexican
restaurant.
Polish.
Yeah, it was like why would these two things be? And then later on, I learned.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason we were in Vietnam in the first place was because of the France people.
The France people.
What are they called?
That is what they call themselves.
Francemen's. Yeah. We were like, oh, we got this. We got you, buddy. Like let us get a piece of this action. Pretty cool.
I think most of my knowledge of Vietnam came from
Apocalypse Now.
No, I was
Platoon.
Was what's the dumb fella?
of Mice and Men.
No, Forrest Gump. Did he go to Vietnam?
The dumb fellow. Yeah, he sure did. He sure did go to Vietnam.
It was like that.
Yeah.
And a little later, Full Metal Jacket.
Sure.
Which neither is really about the war.
No, neither is really about the war, is it? Most of our knowledge came from. I put knowledge in pretty heavy quotations. Yeah, from movies and
then even a little later, what was the Ben Stiller film
where he was Tropic Thunder?
Yeah. Which is so like an additional step removed.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, I don't know. I read a book or two about Vietnam when I was in high school, but or the Vietnam War, I should say. Yeah, why aren't we taught about that kind of stuff?
It's so perplexing.
It's like world. Maybe it's because that's when like the end of World War II was much like more cut and dry. Like,
yeah,
well, we sure did. America, we rule, and we're number one and the best.
I feel like all of my even American history that I learned pretty much stopped after World War II, and then it was just like, yeah, that's.
Like we did it, huh? We are the best.
I can't really think of anything else that we learned after that. You know what?
I did ROTC for a couple years in high school, and I learned more about like Korea and Vietnam in ROTC than I did in my history classes.
Strange.
Yeah. I mean, and some of that was because of military stuff, you know.
My only knowledge of ROTC is watching them practice drill outside.
Yeah, it's everyone who's in drill is in ROTC, but not everybody that's in ROTC is in drill.
So they choose to do that?
They choose to do extra fun.
Can I give you a little well, you were in band, or were you in band?
In middle school. Never did
So
marching.
in high school, everyone is in band because they want to do concert band, which is the fun, good band where you play nice, pretty songs in the air conditioning.
And no one's throwing hot dogs at you.
In order to be in concert band, you are required to do marching band,
that sucks.
Which is going outside and playing bad songs and doing drill in the hot Florida sun.
Yeah.
And if given the choice,
you would never.
No one would be in marching band.
Right.
So it's literally unbelievable that people in ROTC chose to do the bad part.
Yeah, you're right. I wasn't really like, I had like a few like friends. I wasn't like super duper best friends with anybody in ROTC necessarily. Like we were all, like we all got along, but we weren't like hanging out, going to the sock ops or anything.
You did serve in Vietnam.
So I don't really have an insight as to what the reasoning was necessarily. Yeah. I just don't know. I could give you some guesses, but they'd be just guesses.
Something to do.
Something to do. Yeah.
You know, I'm realizing now. One of the sort of nice things about doing this show is it brings to my attention a lot of the deficits in my education, and then later on,
you can choose to fix those deficits.
So, like, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes I will, if it's something where it's like I don't really know anything about this, I'll go back and I'll like read more about
from the articles from our show.
Yeah, like when we come up with something, it's like, what the fuck? Why don't I know this? What the fuck is this?
Right. I've never once ever done that.
Well, that's because you're the bad one.
I do it though with other just random stuff.
Sure,
but
not the thing that you're obligated to do every week.
No, I'm not. Well, once you talk about it, that's it. Either I knew about it or I didn't.
Yeah,
too bad. Unless we get a repeat.
So yeah, I know everything about Brian the Bachelor or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, so that's nice, I guess. I mean, it'd be nice to just know stuff,
right?
But...
Well, I mean, I do like if I'm reading something online or whatever, and I'm like, what is that? And I'll like pull up the Wikipedia article, and all of a sudden I'm in like a couple hours of just learning about whatever the hell it is. Like I did that with Route 66 when you were on your trip. I was looking up some stuff there. I learned a lot about that.
It's wild. It was so cool. Also, I would do it again tomorrow. It was so much fucking fun.
Yeah, sure. All right, well, I'm free, so. It's tomorrow's Sunday, so we gotta make sure we go to church.
Sure.
Okay. I bet there's some pretty wild churches along the way.
Probably some churches you would not want to go to.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What was I gonna say? I don't know.
It's about Route 66 or learning about yourself.
Oh, I don't know what sort of piqued my interest about it initially, but I wound up. I have read a lot of books about North Korea and the Korean War and stuff. And I don't know what was the sort of impetus for that, but that is something that
It's weird how things will just catch your fancy for whatever
Yeah.
reason. You just like go into it. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
and the Vietnam War and the Korean War are two kind of like,
They get lumped together.
well, they're both like wars that didn't really end.
Well, no,
nicely.
they were both police actions.
Well, right,
They were
sure.
never wars.
Sure. Well,
Loophole.
it's like all of that bullshit.
Yeah,
They're both
yeah.
like kind of bullshitty, like
Yeah. The only reason we were even there was like to stop communism, and it's like
and
to
then
stop communism.
I don't know about the Vietnam War, but like the Korean War never ended. You know.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure about the Vietnam War either. Well, neither was a war, Johnny. Stop getting me into these these catch-22s.
One thing that is a little silly is the TV show MASH, which takes place during the Korean War.
But was on air during the Vietnam War.
It ran longer than the actual like the combat of the Korean War
which
lasted.
for us was 5 years, from 50 to 55.
Which is
The one thing I know about Vietnam is the police action, the war. Let's just call it the war. Every time I say war, pretend I'm saying police action. Was started on a lie. Did you know that? We entered Vietnam, and this is verifiable. Like, I found it out on accident because, like you're saying, no one ever taught me this, and I just happened to be looking around. It's called the Tonkin Gulf incident. And
I've never heard of this. Of course,
look it up. It's crazy. Basically, Lyndon B. Johnson, who was the president at the time, because JFK had just got assassinated, and I guess LBJ's here to step in and start the war in Vietnam. And basically, what it was we said that some North Vietnamese ships were firing on one of our like battleships or something, and so he needed Congress to grant him immediate approval to just declare war whenever he wants, kind of like how George Bush did during 9/11. And so we sent troops over to Vietnam to start fighting, and it came out later that had never happened. Like, no, our ships had never been fired on. So that's why we're in Vietnam, was because LBJ wanted to be in Vietnam.
that's. I would love to have learned about this in school.
Well, yeah, but then you might question stuff and be an actual good citizen.
That reminds me, I have a friend, and I
Also, this was just after 9/11 when we would have learned this information.
fuck off. You're right.
So
Fuck.
It's not really conducive to our war efforts in the Middle East if we find out that they're exactly the same as starting the Vietnamese War on a lie too.
This reminds me, I have a friend who is currently in the process of trying to get a government job.
Okay.
So he had to name names of like a billion friends who could like vouch
Verify,
for him.
Yeah.
And so I met with a recruit or an investigator or whatever.
Sure. A government stooge.
Yeah. And she, asked me a bunch of questions about this person. And
Are they now, or have they ever been a member of the Communist Party?
there were a few questions where it was like, does he
What is their favorite pie?
does he have any intentions to overthrow the U.S. government?
No,
like
that's what
straight
she
up, that
phrased
was a question, and it was like, well, no, but also that's not the kind of thing that just comes up in conversation.
I don't know. What are you up to today, dude? I don't know. Just go to the mall,
overthrow the U.S. government,
get some pizza.
and then it was like, does he have any contact with foreign nationals who could blackmail him? It was like,
That's wild.
they were just like,
It's probably like a blanket questionnaire for anybody getting a government position.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like really only applies if you're trying to be a spy.
And then another one was like, when did you meet this person? I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And they're like, can you be more specific?
You're
I
like,
was like,
fuck off. No.
2014, I guess. I hope that I didn't just lose him the job because I can't remember shit.
Yeah. I wouldn't even want to cooperate with them.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, to a degree, maybe, but at the same time, it's like, no, I want my lawyer here.
for pretty much every question, I was like, not as far as I know.
Yeah, like, what do you want me to say? Like, because these questions are crazy.
We have you and I have a mutual friend who has also been questioned for
Okay,
other people. And I was talking to him about it, and he was saying like, oh yeah, by the end, I basically just say, I don't know if he's plotting to overthrow the government, but he seems like a nice guy.
Smell you later.
Will that last episode be interesting to people?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be.
Thank you for playing Arcade Audio. Play more at arcadeaudio.net.